Hello. See my tiny canvas? So I will admit I have more experience with acrylic paints than anything, but half the fun of this week for me has been making things that are not my usual. So I'm I'm feeling as though I will probably do something a little weird tonight. I'm not sure what yet. I'm playing with the idea of uh, kind of want to do a tree, sort of like a bonsai tree almost, but one that sort of reminds me a little bit of uh, an apple tree I used to climb when I was a kid. So I have cheap Walmart brush, um, a styrofoam tray from food, and this one put a little bit of white acrylic. So I got a bottle of apple barrel. I guess that's what that is. It's a matte acrylic paint, quick drying, easy cleanup in white. Got myself a can of water to wet my brush and thin down the paint so it doesn't dry quite so quickly. And let me do a little white on white or wet painting. White on white. No, that was a different type of art that I did at one point. And then as we get into the colors, I did get, I guess these are called Mary's acrylics. So a bunch of little tubes of acrylic paint. I admit I'm used to using things more like the apple barrel or whatever, but that's the paint. The lighting in here could be better. Anyway, it's a branding logo there. All right, so, and I got a small assortment of other little brushes to play with. I got my big old house painting brush. Actually, it's a small house painting brush, but it's a little larger than you would usually use for something like this on such a small canvas. And just because I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, I got a toothbrush to try a few other little things with to see what I can do. But we're almost 4 minutes in, so we're a little around 3. So maybe I'll just get started and getting the canvas a little wet. See what I can do from there, shall we? Make it easier to push the paint around, I guess. Make sure I get plenty of water in there. I want it to stay wet, and if this stuff dries very quickly sometimes, and so I don't want it to do that on me. So keep it wet, keep it white. Talking about the paint. So I think what I'll probably start with running into this real quick tonight because I know that an hour-long video is not in a lot of people's attention spans. So let's see how well I do doing this fast. Okay, so we've got that going. I'm not sure how fast this stuff usually dries up, but we don't want to go in too fast. keep going. Not sure the water is going to make that go any slower. Looks like it's already starting to get a little dry up top, which is way faster than I thought it would be. So keep that in mind when going forward with this. So we've got a sort of a wet, tacky acrylic base to work on. Yeah. Easel. Easel could use a little fresh coat of paint, I guess. That's what it's going for. Okay, so what do I want to do first here? So let's grab our pigments, paper towels. Okay, so blue sky or green grass? Let's do a little bit of blue sky, shall we? So pierce the top, squeeze out a little bit. That's probably more than enough for what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to do a soft blend of very little bit of blue. So mix in the white and blend that a little bit more, shall we? And that, what color was that? That was my lightest blue in that packet, so get a little bit of blue sky smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies. And watch it flag me for that. That would be. Don't dry out yet, you little monster. Blend it, blend it, blend it. Yeah, watercolor is my usual use paint, so blending with water is something I'm used to doing, and I don't know how well that's going to work long term on an acrylic. I hear that it can interfere with its ability to stick to the canvas. Okay, so I think that's a fair blend of blue for the sky. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that well. I know my lighting is not great here. I don't have a lot of choices in some of that. Can't really pick it off right now. Okay, so what we want to do next, I think, is we're supposed to try to blend a little bit of black, just like a little whisper of black, and get that mixed up with more of the white. Make a gray. I might pull in some of that blue. Do we want to do a little bit of touch of red? So let's. So we do a little smudge of black inside the white and make it gray. A very light gray, if we can get that to work right. Might grab a little bit of that blue, throw it in there. That might be too dark. I might add some more of that white. More white? I guess so. Like, how far do we go with that? That black goes pretty far. Here, get a little water. Always smudge it out, I guess. Recover it if it comes to a point where we have to do that. So really just go into town, thinning this out, see if I can get a really, really pale gray. So we've got a palish gray. I feel like the best approach might be to get a little bit of this up here. I think that's a little darker than I want it to be. We'll see how it blends. We'll see what that looks like when we go to it. All right, so let's play with a little bit of the blending, shall we? Yeah, it needs way more white to that. So more white it gets, I guess. All right, so let's give that a go, shall we? And kind of reluctant to use this one here because that I have a plan for. And it's okay, so rinse. Ooh, got a little black hidden in the bristles of that brush, and that would have affected things a little bit. Shall we see if we can blend that a little bit more? Well, that's not really doing what I wanted to do. This is not really a great blending brush. I think I need a wider assortment of brushes. It's not super bad, but it's not where I was going with it. I need to go back in with a little bit of the gray to give some bottom edges to some of these clouds. Well, maybe I can salvage some of that with the blend. Give them a little texture. Get more of the mostly white. A little bit of highlight on the tips here. Just break up some of that flatness. Loosen the tops of the grays and the bottoms of the whites. Bottoms of the whites. And tops of the grays. Can't say that I'm super satisfied with this, but I'll take it. And considering this has been, what, 10, 15 years since I played with any of this stuff, at least for this type of painting, I do a lot of craft stuff where I put this stuff on top of stuff and give a finish. A few stains, little techniques to make this work in certain ways. But all right, so that's not super bad. Okay, so the other half of that equation should be, I think we're going to go for the deeper green that we can get. So this one's a Viridian. Pierce it. I don't think we're going to need a, well, we might need a fair bit of that. We'll see where I can take that. So this is sort of the mess I'm working with right now. So a little bit of water. Let it coat the page a little bit, or the canvas a little bit. Okay, so that's a pretty bright, vibrant green. See if I can pull in a little bit of that blue that's left over. A bit of the black. Get a more sagey. Ooh, I don't know if that blue really seems like it already has a slight bit of its own blue. Okay, so let's see what we can do with that, shall we? Whoa, that is way darker than I thought it would appear on this canvas. And it's supposed to be the first layer, so it's supposed to get a little bit of dark down in there. I'm going to do some brushing on top of it to get some of the lighter colors to show. Wow, that popped a whole different color, and I guess part of that is down to the canvas, the palette I'm using. My palette is a dark gray, and so the colors on top of it seem to be pale and colorful in comparison to the dark. But once you slap it onto a white layer, it's definitely going to have a change in color. Holy cow. There we go. Get it to spread a little bit easier. Not do quite so much dry brush technique on that top. Okay. Yeah, a little, I mean, we don't want a hard edge, but we don't want it just so um, ephemeral that it looks like an incomplete brush stroke. Anyway, just need to let it maybe dry a little bit on that portion of it. All right, so what we need to do, maybe pull some of that leftover green into the white. See if we can get a lighter version of that. What do we got here? Test it on the side here. Break that solid block of color up a little bit. And what else can you do here while we're waiting for this to figure itself out? So what we need to do is, oh, that's stuff coming off very, very, very green. I have to go change my water. Yeah, that water comes off as green no matter what I do. So I'll be right back. That green went far. That green went pretty far to see if I can get it without pouring it on my keyboard. It's sort of a pastel blue-green. All right. Duly wash. And now the goal for this next part I can get it to cooperate and see if I got this dry enough to start playing with it. Actually, it looks like it dries very, very quickly, so I might be good to go in a second here. What I'm looking to do is take our, I guess, sap green and emerald green and mix them a little bit, but not well. Okay, somebody made that one an unfortunate mess. The lid, the piercing pit point on that lid doesn't want to fucking pierce it. Pardon my French. Okay, so a little bit of the emerald, or the sap green. That took forever to get through the lid of that one. There's supposed to be like lids that you can pierce it with, but if they're so soft that they don't go through that barrier, then you're just not going to get anything useful. Okay, so where I think I want to do this is I don't want them to mix that much. I want them sort of so I got a lot of that light green in there, so the emerald green. Maybe go back in with a little bit of the other darker tone. Okay, so we go back in with a sap green. And here's the risky bit. Let's take this big boy. And we're going to try feather that top a little bit. Hey, how about not moving? That's one of the things I would like you to do. That's still a very sharp edge up here. I don't know if I like it that sharp. give a little texture to it. Soften that edge a little bit. I don't think I'm achieving that. Go back in and no, that's not where I was going with that, but thanks for the consideration. See, that's what you get when you don't clean your brush right. No, stop smearing it. That is not what I asked you to do. Well, that's an unfortunate series of events. Okay, let's go back in with a little bit of that white. See if we can resolve this edge a little bit better. Really, dude? Really? Okay. Why do you still have green in you? This is just really fighting me every inch of this last bit here. Let's get back in there and clear that up, shall we? Come on. I know you got it in you, because you've done this before. Why you would choose to mess it up that badly? Did finally think, I think I blended that edge better now. It's not quite such a harsh, dark green line. But what I need to be doing now is blending that area. Wow, you're just ripping it off the canvas, aren't you? Why are you pulling off all that paint? Why is it? Is this just like a cheap canvas? Is that one of the issues? That's so weird. It shouldn't be going that aggressively. There you go. Let's use some of that, shall we? Even it out a little bit. Wow, that just, the behavior on that was just unbelievable. Why would it fight that hard? There we go. We're starting to get the texture we're looking for. There. That looks like grass to me. Wow, 40 minutes. Yep, this is going to take its bloody time to do this one, huh? All right, so now see if I can clear that off a little bit. Let this dry a little bit. See if that'll help it with any future endeavors that we go for. Okay, so see if we can let the grass dry a little bit. And then what we want to do is we've got a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and I want to see if I can get them to be kind of streaky. Might wash this palette off. Well, here, let's see what we can do with what we got. That mess of green is not desirable anymore. It's nice to have a plastic palette because a wet rag can pull off a lot of the sugar, so you don't get a lot of it mixed in with your next round. Okay, so let's swap that out, put the white on the back because we're not using it anymore. So, burnt sienna. I don't know how the Van Dyke Brown is going to work. It looks super dark. So we've got that. Burnt sienna. I feel like I should probably do a dark coat first of that. So that's burnt umber, and then see if we can get the Van Dyke Brown to play with us appropriately. Oop. Well, that should be interesting to see how that works. Van Dyke Brown over here. Whoop, that's way more Van Dyke Brown than we wanted. So, we need to play with right now is get a sense for what we can do with the Van Dyke Brown in its raw state. That's a very dark brown. I don't know if I'd even call that a brown. I would say that's a gray brown. What we're gonna do is see if I can pull up something here. All right, so we're gonna go with a, gotta be careful. Here we go. trying to keep it as a little bit streaky. You get that twisted old tree bark look. Got that. I would say that's about a good level for a base coat. That might even be good for the whole thing. I was going to start mixing with some other colors here. I don't know. I don't know if it's really needed. Let's see what we can do with some of the others in a second. I think I want to see if I can pull off some of this. Because that one got a little thick on me. This is weird that the water is actually working on this here. I think this implies a poorer quality to my canvas, that it doesn't really take in the paint. Makes me a little nervous here. Okay, so what we need to do is grab a little bit of that again. Clean up that edge. Come on, give me clean water and grab a little bit of that sky. Clean up around the edges there. Now you're just gonna smear that everywhere, aren't you? We go in there and we do. This is a lot less forgiving than I remember it being. I think is my water being dirty again? Yeah. I'm gonna get some clean water and I'll be right back. All right, so let's get back and again see if we can lift any of that up before it fully sets in there and tints everything. Still hitting it with a little brown in there, aren't you? Cleaned off that brush. Rinse the water. Where are you picking up the brown? Oh, we'll go with that. Makes the sky a little dusty, I guess. We'll lose some of that consistency. We'll blend a little bit. Well, I've done better. I've done worse. All right, so that's a bit of a mess, but where are we at here? Time-wise, probably approaching an hour. Yep, it's 53 minutes. So where we're going with some of this was, all right, we wanted to see if we could go back over with some of the lighter browns. Do some of that blending. I should be using a smaller brush for this. That's sort of my own fault. It's not adhering to this canvas very well. Again, just keep budging that, huh? Yeah, it's just pulling it up. I don't like that. That's not cool, dude. So I have to go back in now with some of this and fix that spot. Stop doing that, please. All right, well, I can't fiddle with that forever because it's just going to make it worse. Duly noted that these canvases are not up to the task. See that spot? It just pulled it right out of there. Like it can't work with me on this a little bit. See, it's a bald spot right there. Oh, for pity's sake, are you kidding me? You're not gonna paint that? You're not gonna let me paint on that? I'm amazed at how much that just pulled it right up. That's messed up. I'll have to come back to it after it dries a bit, I think, because it's not gonna let me do it any better. Ah, that's messed. Give me that a little bit of burnt umber, I guess. Just straight burnt umber and see if I can fill that hole. No, it won't even take it. It's just pulling more and more off the canvas. That's distressing. All right, so what we're gonna do now, go back to our greens. And I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of see if this works for us. So pounce it, pounce it, pounce it, pounce it. So we get the basic arc that we have to land on for our coverage. And we want to do solve some of this. So this goes around in the background because these are some of the darker colors. So they'll be like the shadow underneath the lighter stuff. That's our Viridian green. And then some of our sap green. So we mixed a little bit of those. Now we're going to go in a little bit of each at a time. So it's going to be not quite the same color. I don't know if it's showing up or not. A little bit of that blended. More coverage. Don't want any real white showing through. Not on these lower levels. All right, so now using that same bit, go in with some of the sap green. Can hit some of the, going over some of the brown branches with it, because we're going to do a little mix of the sap green and the more lighter green later here. All right, that's not super bad. And just a little bit more fiddling around in here, I think. We don't want an even layer here at the bottom. We don't want a straight line. break it up a little, guys. All right, so now we're going to go in with our emerald green. I don't think we need a super large amount of that. Might want to throw in a little water to soften it so it's a little more transparent. Give it a shot. See if we can go. A little bit of. Oh, yeah. And a little more over here. We're sort of doing highlight areas. And then blending. Starting to be a dork about it. All right. Don't leave cotton on the canvas. You're a dork. All right, so argumentative today, aren't we? That's my own fault for using cheap supplies, I guess. All right, so we got that. So do a little bit along here. Honestly, that's working pretty well. I may just blend that a little bit with that instead of switching out. So hit that with a little bit more of the emerald down along this edge. Okay, so go in here. Don't know if this will be one of the ones I'm most proud of when I'm done with it, but I think we're doing all right. Okay, so is it time to be able to revisit that tree and see if we can make it behave itself? Okay. That's a little bit better. See if we can solve that. Don't fiddle with it too much, though. We know what happens when you do that. You make it worse. I think I need to leave that there. So, do a little bit of the emerald green here and a little bit of these guys. Where's my emerald? I might be out of emerald. A little bit more of that. All right, so give me that, and we'll see what we can do, shall we? I don't know if that was the right choice, but it was a choice. Not my best work. Not my best. Well, every day is an adventure when you embrace your artistic side. Why are you pulling up more brown? Why are you pulling up more brown, you dingus? Nobody said, could we get more brown smeared over here? Nobody said it. Wasn't even any brown on where I touched the brush to. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking. I know we're not thinking anything because you're an inanimate object. Such is my life that I am arguing with inanimate objects right now. But that's the worst thing that happens to me today. I'll consider myself lucky. You know, honestly, I think we need another branch right there. So can we do that? So let's pull out our browns. That's that. Try maybe going over the top of it all again. I'm gonna probably cut this at an hour and a half. That seems like an awful long video. Steady. That feels a little bit better. Feel like I need a darker brown on there at certain areas. Pull out that Van Dyke. Feel like there. Let's switch over to a different brush, shall we? Because this one has been arguing with me too long tonight. And I don't think I can keep it working for me. So let's just scoop some of that off of there. Here. Do that. You mangy beast of a plant. Give it a little texture. Give it a little texture. Pull off some of that, though. That was a little aggressive. All right, so let's do a split there. Don't you pull up any more paint. I don't know where you got the idea that that was a way to behave, but that is not how we do things around here. No, it is how we do things around here. That's why I'm so annoyed by it. Could you use a little dark? All right, so I think I'm gonna call it done. Okay, so I should probably sign it then, shouldn't I? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do I think I need to do a tighter brush than that. Rinse my brushes. Don't get water on my keyboard. That's not going to help either of us in our mood right now. Okay, so that's those big brushes taken care of. So let's pull out one of our tiny little brushes and sign it. Then we can call it a night because I think that's as good as I'm going to get for right now. A little water on that. Okay, so brush it in. What we do? 19. Okay, so I'm looking at what it looks like on the screen. I like to think that in person it looks better than it did, but we'll see if I can pull this up here and give you a better look at it. All right, so not great on the screen. So that was trying to do a new type of acrylic painting for me. So I'll take it as a small victory. All right. Thanks for joining me. Tomorrow is either watercolor or oils. I'm not sure yet. I have a couple ideas of what I want to do with those. and I will see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves.